going to check the mail. And I'm asking you if you can please, pretty please, send me one of your videos. I love it so much when you just send them to me. Yeah, I don't like buying your stuff. It makes me feel weird.
The man accused of killing 3 family members seemed so docile, so meek. Law enforcement was looking for Amato because he was the suspect in the triple murder, accused of shooting his mother, father, and brother to death in their Seminole County home.
Hello. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you. You are a real one. If you're new to the channel, I highly suggest you subscribe because here we talk about true crime and strange stories that happen to be true. So go ahead, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when I post. But you're here because you saw the thumbnail and the title. So let's get right into it. Grant, you made some mistakes, sir. Grant was born to Chad and Margaret Amato in Florida. Grant was the youngest of 3 boys. The oldest brother was named Jason and the middle one was named Cody. And Grant was the youngest. Growing up, Grant said that they all were really close and they all had a loving childhood. Their family was pretty normal, pretty loving. Growing up, the parents made pretty decent money. I mean, they had computer games, cars, a really nice house. They were above middle class. Margaret, the mother, she really loved horses, and it was said that if she wasn't at home, then she would be down by the horse stable because she even had a couple of horses. Margaret worked for a healthcare company, and the father, Chad, worked as a pharmacist at a local CVS. Just gonna get a little water here. My mouth is pretty dry. Chad, the dad, also had a second job of fixing computers, and they also said that he was pretty strict. But now, since I already know the story, that's kind of hard for me to believe that he was strict because of things that happened later on in the story. The oldest son, Jason, moved out when he was about 19. He had like a nice girl and they wanted to start their own family, so he moved out, but he was always welcome back in the house. Now, Cody and Grant, it said that they were really close, and Cody was Grant's only friend, so by default all of Cody's friends became Grant's friends as well. Grant, also wanting to go into the medical field to follow his parents, attended UCF, and in 2018 he was fired from his medical job because he was accused and he admitted to stealing propofol and giving it to the patients. His reasoning was because he didn't feel that the doctors were giving the patients an adequate amount. So you're just gonna take it upon yourself and who does that, man? Hey, you're not getting enough. I'm gonna give you some. Hold on. Room, what is it, 205? I'm gonna be right back. You just go and give them your own dose. Like, come on, man, you can't do that. So Grant was charged with grand theft, but then the charges were dropped, and this was because the hospital was fearful that the patients and even the family members of the patients could sue the hospital for negligence. So they dropped them things. They also thought that he was using the propofol for his own personal use, but they couldn't prove it, so there was no point of even pursuing the case. Now during this time, Grant was heavily depressed, and him and his parents would argue about him finding another job. You know, you need to go out and be a man, or just be an adult in that case, and just find another job, get back on your feet, and, you know, just start a new path. Grant wouldn't do this, so he became even more depressed, and when he ran out of money and his parents wouldn't give him any more money, he started getting money from Cody, his older brother, the middle one, Cody. Now during all this free time at home, Grant jumped on a website called myfreecam.com. This was an X-rated website where you could go and chat with the local cam girls and pay them to either just talk or maybe do X-rated things. This is where Grant's head was. Now during all this X-rated web surfing, Grant came across a woman named Sylvie. Now Sylvie was from Bulgaria, exotic woman. I guess that's how he liked him. So he liked Sylvie because he said that she made him feel special and that they would just talk for hours on end, and he was just giving her money just day after day, hour after hour, just to talk, maybe do some X-rated things. I don't know, I couldn't find any report on that, but they were definitely talking. He told her that he was a successful gamer and that he drove a BMW and had his own apartment. Now, this was a red flag for me. How are you that successful but living in, well, I guess you could live in an apartment and be successful. All right, okay, all right, I get that. Now, to talk to Sylvie, it took 90 tokens per minute. Grant bought 5,000 tokens. Now, 5,000 tokens equaled about $600, and that gave him about 56 minutes of one-on-one time with Sylvie, just to talk. If I need to get me a my free cam site, talk to me, shoot, I'll play a board game with you for $50 an hour. Now, as this habit grew, so did the financial, I guess, instability that Grant was having. So he would spend hours, and then he started sending her gifts like sexy lingerie, maybe explicit toys. And then it came to a point where Grant was spending thousands of dollars every single day just to talk to Sylvie and just to communicate, just so she can make him feel special. The power of a woman. It'll make a man do some crazy things. If you're like me, you're probably wondering, where is he getting all this money from if he doesn't have a job? Well, Grant was stealing money from his parents, and he was hacking their accounts to get their money, and he was also getting money from his brother, Cody. Now, when the parents asked Grant where all this money was coming from, or where all their money was going, because they knew he was stealing it, he would say that he was using the money to promote his Twitch gaming stream so that he could grow his subscribers and grow his viewers, which was a lie. He probably wasn't even playing Twitch. He probably wasn't even doing that. He was spending all his time with Sylvie, so when would he have time to like stream on Twitch? Grant, you're lying. You're lying. But his older brother Cody was a peacemaker, so he said that, hey, I will help Grant pay back some of this money that he owes to you. That's really nice. I was about to lie. I was about to say I wouldn't help my brother, but I would help him. Then I'd punch him for being so stupid. Cody and one of Cody's friends named Jericho all went to Japan for this anime convention. So they also took Grant, because Grant was a fan of anime as well. So all three of them went. Cody paid for Grant to go. That's an amazing gift, by the way. If you just pay for your man, that's an amazing gift. So while they're there on the last day, Grant tells them that he's really not feeling well. He's gonna go back to the room and just rest up. But what he did, he took Jericho, which is Cody's friend, he took Jericho's credit card and then just racked up all these charges talking to Sylvie. And it wasn't until Jericho's parents called him and asked him like why he was spending so much. What was he doing? What was he spending all this money on? That's when they found out that Grant had stolen all the money. And then Cody was like, don't worry about it. I will pay you back. And I'm pretty sure he did. Of course, this news got out to Cody and Grant's parents, and then another argument ensued once Cody and Grant got back home from the convention, because Grant was still freeloading at this time. He still didn't have a job, and he was still just walking around in his underwear doing nothing, talking to Sylvie like a 13-year-old.
All right, Sylvia, look at me. I am outside going to check the mail, and I'm asking you if you can please, pretty please, send me one of your videos. I love it so much when you just send them to me. Yeah, I don't like buying your stuff. It makes me feel weird. Could you please send me one though?
So Chad the dad also noticed that even more money was missing. So when he confronted Cody again, this time Cody got into his car and just sped off. And then he sent his mother, Margaret, a text message saying, "Don't worry, I'll handle it all myself." So his mom calls the police because she's worried that Grant is now suicidal. Grant drove all the way to his aunt. I said all the way, but it wasn't that far. Grant drove to his aunt's house, and she would later say that when he got there, he seemed very just depressed and anxious, so she agreed that he would stay there with them for just a little bit of time. While there, she noticed that Grant would sleep all through the day and then stay up all night. Now, the whole family, like Grant, Dad, Chad, and Margaret, and the aunt, everyone, they were all big gun owners, so the aunt locked up all of the guns for the time being while Grant was staying there. A few days later, the aunt notices that all these charges were coming up on her bank statement. So she's still trying to figure it out. And then the husband noticed that all these charges were coming up on his statements too. Well, since you're here with me, you understand it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that Grant had stolen both of their credit cards and had racked up all these thousands of dollars of bills talking to Sylvie. So the aunt calls Chad the dad, and Chad just breaks down. He loses it. He starts crying. He doesn't know what to do, and he reveals that he can't retire. Him or his wife can't retire because they are $150,000 in debt. But then he assures the aunt that it's okay because he doesn't want Grant to go to jail, and he promises to pay back her and her husband. Oh, by the way, he also sold the credit card of the grandma, just to talk to Sylvie. With all this money, he could have flown out there, gotten a house, and like taken care. You know what I mean? Like just talking to her, that doesn't really make any sense. You're not getting anything. I can understand if she was like a prostitute, or you know what I mean. At least you're getting something, but just talking to me, that I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Now time goes by. Grant's still up to his old tricks, and the total is between $200,000 to $250,000. They're a little unsure about the number, but they know it's between that. So the family agrees to have an intervention. So Grant was very submissive. He was very timid. So they come to him like, you need to go to this treatment facility for people who are addicted to, I don't know, like porn and just social media, websites, and technology addiction. This is where you're going, Grant. So Grant agrees, and he goes for 2 months, 60 days for $15,000. So go ahead and add that to the bill. Now, while Grant was in this treatment facility, they hacked his computer. When I say they, I mean Cody, his older brother, and Chad the dad. They hacked his computer and then found that he was living this double life about being a successful streamer and everything like that. Now, all of Sylvie's followers and all these other men who loved her too, all of them got together, and they, I guess, had this weird friendship. So Chad the dad like sent all of them a message saying that, hey, Grant really isn't who you think he is. Pretty much his whole life that you know is a lie. Why would you want to be friends with this woman that you love, knowing that she has other guys that she talks to? Why would you want to be friends with them? Hey, bro, you like her? I like her too. We should be friends. Like, that's so stupid. That doesn't make any sense at all to me, man. People are weird. Now, after only 2 weeks of being in this facility, Grant says that he's cured, and he says everything that the doctors want to hear, so they release him. They let him go. So going back to Daddy Chad's house, he places down some ground rules. If you're going to stay here, these are the rules. Number 1, no internet at night. Number 2, no phones. Number 3, get a job. Number 4, you will not have a computer in your own room. And number 5, which is probably the one that hurt the most, but I'm gonna say it. Number 5, you can't talk to Sylvie anymore. Then it comes out that Daddy Chad had talked to all of Grant's friends and told them all that he was living. This is what he's telling Grant. He was like, we told all of your friends that you're living this double life, and that you should feel bad because you put all of these strangers over your own family, and you put your family in financial ruin. Not just your mom and dad, but your mom, dad, your brother, aunt, uncle, and grandma. All of us are in financial ruin because you put these strangers over us. Shame on you, son. Shame on you. Now, I'm going to say something. This probably isn't going to be the most popular opinion, but at some point, the parents have to take responsibility. Everyone's grown here. So why would you allow your son to keep doing this? Just keep stealing money from you? It's not like he took $5 here, $10 there. He's taking thousands every single day. And you know it, and you're not doing anything about it. Now, Grant agreed, and he started following these rules. So a little bit of time goes on. He's doing good, following the rules, looking for a job. And then he starts asking his mother to use her phone in order to talk to Sylvie on Twitter. And she let him. Why would you let him? So Chad the dad found out, and then he kicked out Grant. Like, Grant, you have to go. So somehow or another, Cody found this out as well, and he sent his girlfriend a text saying like, hey, something's going on at family as soon as I get off work, because I think he was a nurse as well. He was in the medical field as well. So he said as soon as he gets off, he's going to go over there back to his mom and dad's house to see what's going on, because he was a peacemaker. He wanted to smooth things over. Days later, the sheriff's office gets a call to do a wellness check on Cody's. So this was his friends and the people that he worked with, because they hadn't seen him in a few days. So they were wondering where he was, and they asked the sheriff's office to go and do a check on him. Now that I think about it, why didn't his girlfriend do this? Because he had a girlfriend, and I thought they were living together. So why didn't she call? That she didn't notice that he just wasn't home for a couple of days? I don't know. When the sheriff gets there, he noticed that all the cars are there, but all of the downstairs windows are covered up with paper. When they get in there, they see Chad the dad laying in a pool of his own blood. There are actually 2 spots of dried blood with like claw marks going through them. Like maybe he was trying to like claw his way to something or try to get away from something. Also, there was frozen chicken on the counter. Like he had just gotten home from work, and he put his lunchbox on the counter because the lunchbox was on the counter, and then he had taken out a bag of frozen chicken. And also he had his gun on his hip with his holster and his gun on his hip. Reading this story, the one part that I thought was weird, it wasn't that the dead body, it was like, you're gonna get home and then take out the frozen chicken? You know how long it takes to defrost some chicken? You gotta take that thing out like the day before, man. Or like the morning, like when you're going to work, that's when you take that chicken out, to defrost. Because if you take it out after work, it's not gonna be ready by dinner time. Most people don't get home till like what, 6:30? Shoot, man, that thing needed at least about 5 hours to defrost all the way through. They also find the mother, Margaret, at her computer desk, and she was hunched over. She was dead as well. She was shot from behind. Now, they also found Cody, because Cody had come over after work. He was actually still in his work scrubs, and he was dead on the floor by the garage, and he had a book bag by him. In the book bag, it was just some regular stuff, but there were also 2 guns that were laying about 5 feet apart from him and each other, and they had 4 different gun shell casings, like gun casings. They had 4 different casings. The sheriff's office pretty much immediately thought that it was a murder-suicide. They thought that Cody came in, killed his mother, his father, and then himself. But then after further investigation, they realized that that wasn't the case. So now the immediate suspect is Grant. They find Grant at a DoubleTree hotel.
This is just released body cam video showing the moment Orange County Sheriff's deputies took Grant Amato into custody at a hotel.
You're being cooperative, sir. We appreciate that.
The man accused of killing 3 family members seemed so docile, so meek. Law enforcement was looking for Amato because he was the suspect in the triple murder, accused of shooting his mother, father, and brother to death in their Seminole County home.
It's just a normal routine when we encounter someone that we want to make sure you're safe. We know you don't have any weapons. We'll get those restraints off of you.
This body cam video is expected to be part of the evidence. In the video, you see Amato surrender. He puts up no fight, even encourages deputies to check his room for weapons.
I mean, I have my like duffel bag and whatnot in there if you guys want to check that and whatnot.
That'll be up to the detectives to talk to.
Now, at this point, Grant is just a suspect. They don't have any hard evidence on him, like fingerprints or anything like that. They don't have that. But Grant is down at the station, and he starts talking about what's been going on with Sylvie and how the money and how he's trying to get back on his feet. This is the story that he's giving the officers. Now, while the police are questioning him, they never really tell him what's going on. So Grant is just telling this story. So he knows that something happened with his parents, but he doesn't know that they're dead. This is what the police are noticing. So Grant states that the night that his father kicked him out, he called Cody, and then Cody tells him, "Don't worry, I'll take care of mom and dad." So I feel that he said that to set up the fact that Cody went over there, killed his mom and dad, and then killed himself. That's why I feel that that's why he told the police that. But after 7 hours of interrogation, he never once asked why he was there or what happened specifically to his parents. He never once asked that. So the police started pressing him a little bit more, asking like, "Why are you acting so suspicious when we came to the DoubleTree? We just wanted to talk to you. Why did you get on your hands and knees? Why did you crawl? Why turn around to be arrested if you didn't do anything?" Then they also start to show pictures of the crime scene to Grant. Now at this time, Grant's story starts to change a little bit, so he can't really keep the same story, just keeps changing. Every time he opens his mouth, the story changes. But One thing stays the same, is that he remains and he claims his innocence throughout the entire thing. At this point, Jason, the oldest brother, gets word of what's going on, and then he comes down to the station to talk to Grant. Now, when he's talking to Grant, he really isn't mean, or he isn't forceful, he isn't being aggressive. He's just talking to him, trying to pull out some answers, trying to figure out what happened. They don't have any evidence on Grant, so they have to release him. But then Cody's girlfriend comes forward, and she says that she remembers Cody telling her that he thought that Grant was going to kill everyone in the family. The police determined that it wasn't a murder-suicide because there was no blood on the door frame where Cody had been shot by the garage. This means that the door had to have been open when Cody was shot. And then, once you're shot and you're dead, you can't close the door after yourself. So the door had to have been open when Cody was shot, and then someone walked out and shut the door. They also concluded that Cody had been moved after he was shot. They also concluded that Chad, the dad, didn't die from the first shot, so that's why there were claw marks in the pools of blood. Remember, I was telling you earlier there were claw marks in the pools of blood. So he didn't die from that first shot, and he was trying to just get away or pull himself to maybe a telephone or to his, I don't know. So Grant was arrested for 3 counts of premeditated murder, and then they found gloves and credit cards of Cody and Grant and the parents, and a passport. With all this, they think that he was going to try to take this money and then flee to Bulgaria, where Sylvie was, or wherever she was from. I don't know. But they think that he was going to try to flee there to just be with Sylvie. They also find a handwritten note from Cody in Grant's pocket saying that he's sorry about everything that's going on and that he'll take care of it. But that letter was also determined to be written by Grant. So it was just a fake letter that Grant wrote up pretending to be Cody, I guess to feed into the lie that Cody killed the parents and then himself. The trial began July 2019, and the defense tried to make it seem like it was a drug deal gone bad since they found a small amount of marijuana in the house when, I guess, during the police investigation. Let me tell you something. If I had a son like Grant, I would probably need a little herb too. I would probably smoke a little bit of that devil's lettuce just to clear my head from time to time. You know what I mean? Nobody's busting into your house and shooting the whole family up for a nickel bag of weed. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Forensics would say that mother Margaret was shot in the head first, and then Chad the dad came home, and then he was shot, and then Cody was killed last. Which, that's so sad, man. Why would you kill, like, your brother? First of all, why would you kill your family anyway? Why would you kill your brother though? He was helping you out. He never gave you any flack for it. He tried to pay off some of the debt. It was said that Grant spent hours just moving the bodies around, trying to make it look like a robbery / murder suicide. I still don't know which one they're going with. Well, probably the robbery because they found the marijuana. So he spent hours just moving the body around to make it fit the story that he was painting. The shell casings that they found, they never found the unknown gun or guns to match these shell casings. Some of you remember that Chad the dad had the holster on his hip with the gun in it. So if he didn't die from the first shot, why didn't he pull out his gun and then just shoot his son? Well, forensics determined that the holster and the gun was placed on him after he was dead, and they found this out because there was blood under the holster. So like on the back side of the holster, that's where there was blood. So that's how they figured out that he wasn't wearing this the whole time. And then that doesn't even make sense. If he's working fixing computers or as a pharmacist, why would he have a gun on him? That doesn't make any sense. I tell you what he should have done. He should have thrown that frozen chicken at him. That's what I would have done. Give him a thigh right to the face. Give him a chicken breast right to the jugular, boy. That's what I would have done. They also found out that after the murders, Grant took Chad the dad's finger and opened it up and then logged into his, I guess, mobile app for his banking, and Grant wired himself like just a large amount of money to prolong this trip, or to solidify his trip going to see Sylvie. Grant also used Cody's bank information to send Sylvie some money after the murder as well. The gloves that they found were also tested positive for gunpowder residue, and when asked Grant about this, Grant said that he uses these gloves when he's firing weapons, which is also a lie. That was a bold-faced lie. So Grant later on, to get back into the good graces of his community with Sylvie and Sylvie's other lovers or whatever they were, he typed up a letter saying like, hey, I'll be over there in a little bit, and my family ambushed me and they made me go to this clinic. That's why I've been gone so long. So he, at this point, his family's dead, and he was still trying to just get back in the good graces. He still wanted to be loved by Sylvie and these other friends that he had. He said he would do whatever he could to get back into her good graces. He even said that he would give his own life just to make her smile. This man is sick. He needs some help. Reading the investigation, it said that Grant showed no emotion during the trial. Even when his older brother Jason got on trial to express, you know, his emotion for his family, him losing all of his family, he showed no emotion. But he showed emotion when they showed Sylvie's picture on the screen in the courtroom. The jury came back that he was guilty and that he would get life without the possibility of parole. To this day, he still claims his innocence, and when they try to ask him for an interview, he said, I'll give you an interview if you help pay to get me out of jail, or if you can connect me to a millionaire who will help like pay the bills to get me out of jail. And that is the story of Grant Amato, this sick man who needed help. I honestly think that he did need help, because that addiction was really strong. It was really holding him. Grant said that he had some pen pals in prison. I don't know what happened to Sylvie. I don't think she had any involvement in it, but I don't know, maybe she could have, but I don't think that she did. I don't think she did. That's it for today. Thank you for staying for the entire video. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with somebody who might like it. Also, hit that bell notification so you know when I post true crime videos and stories that happen to be true, and strange stories that happen to be true. And I will see you on another one.